In this video, we are going to keep talking about file systems, and specifically, we are going to work about we are going to talk about different file systems, because there's not only one file system, there are so many of them, and we are going to talk about a bit about their features and what defines them as well. Each of them has their own features, so we are going to talk about some of them and a bit a short comparison on different file systems. Okay, so file systems. There are, as I said, there are many file systems. Each operating system basically define its own file system based on its needs, and there are many operating systems. Some of them didn't define their own file system, they used an existing one, but the biggest ones defined many file systems. For instance, Windows defined FAT16, FAT32, NTFS. MacOS defined HFS, HPFS, and High Sierra. I don't know the name, but some file systems. And Linux also, ext, ext 1, 2, 3, and 4 are designed for Linux, but there are way more file systems, not only those, but there are some that are commonly like the de facto standard. There have been some standardization efforts, so there's a standard on what a file system should do, or even standard file systems that anyone can use, and they are supported by any platform or any operating system, but they didn't succeed. The reality we are living nowadays is that there are many file systems. There are some of them that are the de facto standard, like NTFS or FAT32 or X234 HFS, basically, and some that are not that important. For instance, Android had another file system on its own, but they changed around 2012 or 2014 to X4, for instance, which is the Linux one. But there's no standard on file systems. Also, the thing that didn't make the standard succeed was that each operating system supports different file systems, okay, but not all of them. And that's a matrix of compatibilities, extremely complex, because for instance, Windows supports NTFS, FAT16, FAT32, and some others, but doesn't support ext1234. Linux supports NTFS, FAT1632, but doesn't, and its own ext1234, but NTFS doesn't work really well in Linux. You can't install Linux on a partition that it's on FAT, for instance. Uh, MacOS supports its own file system, HFS, and I think it supports NTFS, but and I think some versions of Ext they are also supported, but not all of them. So each operating system can deal with some file systems, but not all of them. Okay, because that support is programmed inside the operating system, and it can be it's programmed in there or not. Okay. Also, another important thing that all the people forget is that when you format the storage device, what in the formatting dialog, or when you format something, what you really do is that you specify to that storage device which file system is going to use. So you maybe say it's going to use NTFS. So suddenly the storage is configured to use NTFS, and you don't delete anything unless you delete everything. But formatting means that you write the file system, you configure that storage device to work under a specific file system. and that's it. You say this is going to be NTFS, and probably there's going to be data on the storage device, but it won't be able anyone won't be able to read it because it's going to be in another file system and probably corrupted. Okay, but you're not deleting everything. That's why we can recover things after formats, because usually you don't delete everything, or at least you only change the file system. Okay, basically. We are going to make a short comparison of file systems. And first of all, we are going to talk about some of the features that define file systems. Uh, each file system supports a maximum file size, supports a maximum volume size that can handle, like, for instance, I'm going to look at, I don't know, for instance, XFAT supports until a volume and storage until 128 petabytes, okay, which is extremely high, okay. So that's also another of the features. The operating systems that support that file system, okay. And there's another thing that it did not put here. Well, there are many more things, like if they support storing the creation timestamp, the modified timestamp, POSIX permissions. There are many more things, but this is just that you see that each file system has its own features, and they differ a lot from one to the other. Okay, and it's super important that you take care when choosing the file system that you're going to use, because, for instance, the maximum file size on FAT32 it's 4 gigabytes. So if you format one storage device under FAT32, the file size that it's going to be able to write in that storage device, it's going to be at least at maximum 4 gigabytes. Okay, so for instance, an ISO image is usually 4 gigabytes and 200 or 400 megabytes. So you're not going to be able to write it on FAT32 storage. Okay, NTFS usually gets way higher than FAT32. XFAT also, as I said, 128 petabytes. X through 2, 3, and 4. The different versions have different maximum file sizes, so you have to take care with that also. The max volume size, as you can see, it differs a lot between different file systems, and also the support of operating systems. In here I just put some of them, not all of them obviously, but NTFS is supported mainly by Windows, MacOS, Linux, and any BSD, Chromos, Solaris. So basically everyone supports NTFS. FAT32 is supported by Windows, Mac, and Linux, which is also a great support. XFAT also Windows, Mac, and Linux, okay. And X versions are only supported by Linux and in some way, some weird way, by MacOS also, okay. But this is only that you see that there are different features that you have to take into account when choosing a file system for your storage or your partition or anything, okay. So we will talk later in another video about partitions and file systems and stuff like that. But when you choose a file system, you need to take care of that, okay. So I wanted to say something else, but well, no, I don't remember. But basically we learned about what's a file system already with these videos about introduction to file systems and basic concepts on the file systems, like their basic concepts and their features, okay.